All right, every Monday we do a deep dive into what your elected officials have been up to, and this week we are starting in Iowa. Here to help break things down for us, as always, is Dana Searles of our sister station, WOI in Des Moines. Dana, thank you so much for being back with us. Healthcare has been top of mind for lawmakers for the last few weeks now. What's going on with a bill that's advancing through the Senate that has to do with medical providers and their personal beliefs?
Yeah, so it's actually a bill that passed out of the House last year. So this bill was placed on the unfinished business list last year and is now brought back by the Senate. So what the bill would do is it would allow medical providers to deny care or services if it goes against their conscience. Now, conscience is the language that the bill uses, and how it defines conscience is any ethical, moral, or religious beliefs or principles that are held by a healthcare provider or an institution. So basically, to kind of put two and two together, it's basically saying that medical providers wouldn't need to perform a certain service or administer a certain medication, etc., if it goes against their religious beliefs. Now, like I said, this was brought back from the House last year. It passed through the House in whole last year. However, the Senate did amend this bill when they brought it to the floor. The amendment actually took out the part that said health insurance companies would also fall under this category of being allowed to deny services based on their conscience. So this took health insurance companies out so they would not have the same right that this bill would give to those medical providers. Now, those against this think that this would just lead to discrimination in healthcare, and it's something that isn't really necessary. However, those for it are saying that this adds an extra protection for the medical community and those providers. So since the Senate did amend this bill, it does have to go back to the House before it can go to the governor's desk. However, if the House does pass that bill as is, then it would go to the governor's desk.
Well, keeping with healthcare and turning to Medicaid, lawmakers are looking to permanently privatize it. What's going on here?
Yeah, so right now, how Iowa's Medicaid system works, it's set up where private insurance companies are the ones that administer at least the most benefits. And this bill would want to kind of lock in that private companies being the ones to administer those benefits, where future governors and future assemblies would not be able to change that or make any amendments to that. And what it would do is a lot of advocates spoke saying that claiming there's already issues with the current Medicaid system. People are saying that it really impacts kids with disabilities. There were a bunch of parents that had some emotional testimony in that subcommittee. Right now it is in a House subcommittee. It already did pass out of the Senate, so I want to make note of that. It would, like I said, prevent future governors from ending the use of that system. And it also, what it would do is it actually would require the state to verify citizenship status of applicants for public assistance programs. So like I said, I talked about Medicaid at the beginning of this bill. However, in this ordinance or in this section of the bill where it talks about requiring citizenship status to be approved, that also falls under the category of things like SNAP benefits. So this bill stretches a little bit farther than Medicaid. So kind of just putting it all together is it would keep in that current program where private insurance companies are administering Medicaid benefits, and it would add a layer of citizenship status requirements for both Medicaid and programs like SNAP. So like I said, it did pass out of a House subcommittee. However, House Republicans in that subcommittee did note that this bill still needs a lot of work. There's a lot of conversations that need to happen. So we'll have to see how those conversations play out. Want to note here that kind of applies to this bill is this Friday will be the second funnel Friday. So if this bill does not make it out of a House committee by the end of this week, that bill would be considered dead for the legislative session. However, it did already pass out of the Senate. So if this bill goes through both the House committee as is and then through the House as is, then it would go to the governor's desk.
Before I let you go, I do want to turn to education. This was a big topic last year. Legislators in Iowa's House and Senate were very concerned about DEI classes, especially in higher education throughout the state. And right now that's continuing into this legislative session. There's a House bill advancing that would cut all general education related topics to DEI at Iowa's public universities. Where does this bill stand?
So this bill right now just passed out of the House over in this past week. And what it does is, like you mentioned, it adds a lot more restrictions on those courses related to diversity, equity, and inclusion and critical race theory. And it would require Iowa's Board of Regents to, by the fall semester of 2028, go through all the requirements, the general education requirements that Iowa's colleges currently have, and then go through those courses that are related to DEI and CRT and determine which ones need to be removed. Now, the bill is is using language like, and authors of the bill are using language for the regions to use this at their discretion. So this kind of gives a much wider, I guess, table for these Iowa Board of Regents to consider this bill under and these courses under. It allows them a lot more freedom to determine what bills or what courses are determined to be related to DEI and related to CRT. Another thing I want to note about this bill is it actually would allow Attorney General Brenna Bird to open up an investigation into different colleges and local governments who have violated the law that was signed into law last year, which prevents colleges and local governments from having specific DEI offices. So not only is it having the Iowa Board of Regents going back and reviewing certain general education coursework, it also is launching that investigation, or at least allowing Attorney General Brenna Bird to launch an investigation into those local governments and colleges. So like I mentioned, it passed out of the House in a vote of 62 to 27, so that'll now move on to the Senate. But again, want to bring up, it is the second final period on Friday, so the Senate will have to move this through a subcommittee and a committee by the end of this week.
And we'll wait and see what bills survive Final Friday. Dana, as always, thank you so much for your time. And for you guys at home, we have our political coverage for both states up on our website underneath the As Seen on TV tab at the top of the homepage.